Alright guys, I just got done moving, so I don't have a setup right now. Oh, everything's a mess. I don't know where anything is. Reorganizing my play area. We moved to a different apartment because we got a baby on the way, so. Anyways, hi guys, what's up? This is gonna be my second entry in my brand new series, Did I Enjoy Blank Game? And today we're talking about Evil West on the PS5. This is a new series because instead of putting like 20 games all in one video and talking about them and not giving my full thoughts and opinions, I'm gonna talk about one game at a time for one video. I'm not a video game critic. I'm not trying to be like a official reviewer. These are just my thoughts, opinions, and experiences while playing these games. So let's just kick it off. Did I enjoy Evil West on the PS5? Hell yes I did. This is a good ass game. It's a good old fashioned game. It's a game. No BS, no filler. Drop me into a spooky steampunk world as a no nonsense vampire hunting cowboy with Thor abilities and I am good to go, man. Overall, this can be summarized as good old fashioned dumb fun in a good way. Dialogue and story is corny and cliche as hell and cheesy, and I loved every second of it. It's endearing and refreshing. A game that doesn't take itself too seriously, while the story is definitely taking itself seriously. If that makes any sense whatsoever. It's like the game devs did it on purpose. They purposely made the game cheesy. But the game, I don't know. You just gotta play yourself to experience it. The game mechanics and combat kept reminding me of God of War the more I played. I know how it sounds. A God of War and vampire hunting cowboy game should have nothing in common. But trust me, the over-shoulder third-person camera view, the character feels beefy to move, and the overall movement system. A single evade push gives you a quick dash, but a double push gives you a roll evade. You can launch enemies into the air and continue to beat them while in the air. Executions and finishers are similar. Clicking on the joysticks together activates a god overpowered mode. Environmental destruction to open up paths, like there is vegetation in your way that you can burn. How you open chests is literally a copy and paste of God of War. The way he goes, and it's like rips it out, it's literally the same. There's quite a bit more. You just have to play the game to experience it yourself, to know what I mean. The game was definitely a bit unpolished when I played it like a month after release. Definitely not perfect, but there's nothing that ruined my experience overall. Just small things here and there where I went like, ooh, okay, that's interesting. Unfortunately, there is noticeable pop-in with textures and items in the world. Oh yeah, by the way, this is not an open world game. This is a good old-fashioned linear adventure. It drops you into like an area, and you might have two paths to explore, maybe. And maybe like one path goes that way, one path goes like under stairs, and one path goes like upstairs. You can explore these different paths, but they all come together, or you gotta like go back. It's a linear game, but it's really awesome. One of my favorite things about the game is the game has cool controller mechanics that makes you feel like you're having a next-gen gaming experience. When you start out with a fully loaded revolver, the game triggers on the PS5 controller while shooting starts with really heavy resistance. But the more you shoot, the resistance on the trigger gives out and it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And you know you're out of bullets when there's no resistance whatsoever. So like I don't have to focus on like the bottom corner of the screen to see how much ammunition I have left. I can be gaming and killing things and I just have to pay attention to the trigger resistance to know, oh shoot, I'm out of bullets, let me do something else. It's a very simple thing, but I just love when games actually take advantage of the PS5 controller mechanics. It's just so freaking cool, man. The story missions are random and they give you a half-ass reason to go somewhere. There was a whole mission at one point, retrieve a briefcase. It's a little jarring and confusing when they're talking about vampires taking over the country. Their little cowboy organization is gonna be extinct, and all of a sudden they say, all right, man, go grab that briefcase in the middle of the swamp. Like, what? Shouldn't we be worrying about other things? The story overall is really cool. It's just a few moments like that where I'm like, well, that's stupid. Often cutscene transitions are unnatural and they happen out of nowhere. They're really abrupt, catching me off guard. Another thing you just have to experience to know what I'm talking about. Like two people will be having a really intense conversation. They're like, and then all of a sudden cut. And then you're on your horse. Like, what? I was just having a really intense conversation. Like, wait, what just happened? But like I said, none of this is noticeable enough to ruin the experience. It's just little things that I noticed. At one point, there's big ass annoying shield monsters that were obviously inspired by hunters from Halo, and I loved it. I swear I could hear Halo music in the background. Once you fight these things, you're like, oh yeah, those are definitely hunters. There's amazing environmental variety, old western oil fields, creepy swamps, unpopulated deserts, pretty river, mountain areas, creepy cornfields, old western cowboy towns and saloons that reminded me of Valentine from Red Dead 2. All the animation funding went directly to the main protagonist, Jesse. Most of the NPCs look like weird PS3 models, but Jesse looks amazing. Whenever there's a close-up of his face, I'm like, ooh, that's a PS5 graphic. But when it goes to an NPC, I'm like, ooh, that's a PS3 animation. But you don't spend a lot of time on NPC dialogue or faces, so it's fine. The title screen is so badass. There was like some weird shit online where people were complaining about the Starfield title screen being bland. That means the rest of the game is gonna be bland or whatever. Whatever your stance is on that, I don't really care about title screens, but this title screen really caught my attention. I mean, just look at it. It's so freaking badass. Anyways, title screens are important to me in video games, but I just thought that was just a really cool feature they didn't have to add, or they didn't have to spend time on, but they did. Like when you start up and you boot the game, I'm like, oh, this game's gonna be awesome. So maybe title screens are important. I don't know. The main boss is hilariously evil and screams all the time. I love it. I'm like, I hate you, I'm gonna eat you. Humans will die, vampires will rule the world. Ah! It just made me laugh. I'm like, what? It's so dumb and awesome. Sometimes after beating a really overcomplicated, complex main boss like Odin from God of War 2, you just want a main boss who's just evil for the sake of evil. It's like a palate cleanser. My number one most favorite part about this game is the arachnophobia mode. There's levels where you have to go through like really cramped areas and you're like in a cave or a tunnel and there's spiders all over the freaking walls in a really cramped area, and you're like, oh shit, there's spiders everywhere, and they're like on the ground and they're huge. Then there's one level where you're like in an old dusty gross warehouse and they're freaking everywhere, covering every square inch of the walls. And my biggest fear is spiders. I can't help it. I don't know what it is. It's just I can't deal with spiders, man. When I saw this, I'm like, okay, I'm a big boy, I'm a grown up, I can play a video game with spiders on the wall and I'll be fine. But I couldn't, man. I couldn't. I broke down like, there's too many spiders. Nope. Settings, arachnophobia mode on, and every single spider disappears. That's my favorite part of the game. More games should have arachnophobia mode. Thank you, developers of Evil West. Yeah, man, this game was freaking amazing. It was a palate cleanser. It was refreshing. It was awesome. It's nice to play a game that's just a game sometimes. You're just a cowboy with Thor abilities from like the 1800s or some shit, and you just fight vampires. It doesn't make any sense, but it's just a video game. It's cool, man. Like after playing God of War Ragnarok, where it's like heavy on dialogue and story and like emotions, and I love Ragnarok, but it's just like I go from that to this. I'm like, thank you. I don't know. You just gotta experience it yourself. I love this game. 2 huge thumbs up. Yeah, I don't know what else to say, man. Give this game a try, especially if you find it on sale. Holidays and Black Friday are coming up soon. So yeah, Evil West. Freaking love that game, man. Oh, what game should I talk about next? Maybe Elden Ring.